Amy from Fox Run Environmental Education Center, and today I'm going to give you a list of things so that you can put together a wildlife rescue car kit. So things that you need if you come across a baby animal that is injured or orphaned, or an animal in distress that needs to be transported to a wildlife rehabilitation center. So obviously the first thing you need is something to contain the animal. So a cardboard box works great, or something like a cat carrier. And you can just stuff all your supplies inside of that container so it's not taking up a lot of room in your car. So first things first, you always want to be safe. So if you're pulling off the road to check on an animal, make sure you have your car's blinkers on, that you're being safe. You can have one of those orange vests that you can put on if you live in a traffic-y or you're in a traffic-y area. So always be safe. And safety means welding gloves. So good thick leather gloves that will not let teeth penetrate, because even sometimes if these animals are tiny, they're afraid, and it's just very natural for them to try to claw or to bite something that they don't understand. So as well as welding gloves, have some nitrile or some LASIK gloves, just to protect yourself from any dirt or blood or parasites that are on the animal. Oftentimes you don't see those right away, but an orphaned baby very quickly gets just covered in lice and fleas and other parasites when it does not have mom taking care and cleaning it. So make sure to keep your hands clean. A pillowcase is a great thing to have in your kit. You can use it to pick the baby up like this, or if you're someone that's comfortable with snakes, a pillowcase makes a great place to stick a snake inside, or any other animal, and then you can just knot the top and they can still be able to breathe with the fabric. Also, one of my favorite things, my children were babies way back in the day. This is a cloth diaper, and they're just great soft material, thicker, and are great to pick up a baby animal. You don't have to pick up the animal with your hands, and in many situations, we don't want to. If an animal was hit by a car, it might have broken bones, and so we want to keep movement minimal. And so one thing you can do is take a folder or a piece of cardboard and use that to slide right under the animal, lift the animal, and then place it in your container. And that also keeps handling to a minimum. The animal is scared and in shock, and those are normal biological reactions that it's going to have to a human. And so we don't want to handle the animal. If the rehabber that you're working with asks for a picture, take a quick picture, but don't do selfies. We want to keep the stress down. The other thing, baby animals, infant baby animals, cannot thermoregulate. So an animal with their eyes closed and minimal hair on their body cannot produce heat. They're still dependent on mom to produce, provide that warmth. So a heating pad is a good thing. This one has a DC and an AC plug, depending on what plugs you have available in your car. The other things that you can use is, if you're at home, you can make a hot water bottle, or you can use the little travel chemical hand and foot warmers that they sell, where you just squeeze the packet and that makes a chemical reaction that produces heat. Any source of heat should not be directly in contact with the baby animal. So they can't move around, they can't get away if they get too hot or it's burning their skin. So always have them wrapped up in the blanket and then have the heat source, next to them. Something else that's great for your car kit is a pair of scissors or wire cutters. So often people find animals, especially birds and turtles, near ponds or lakes that have fishing line around them. When people are fishing, sometimes they don't dispose of their line properly. That gets wrapped up around animals' legs, or sometimes even a throat, and a few snips can release them. The other thing that happens is fawns. Sometimes something startles mom and baby. Mom goes flying over the fence. Fawn does not. Fawn gets caught up in the fence. And so you can use wire cutters, if it's your own fence, to release the baby. But don't cut a fence in a park or someone else's property, because that's obviously a crime. So the other thing you should have prepared beforehand is a list of rehabilitators in your area. You might not have anyone very close, but find out who those people are that are closest to you. And you can do that. So state departments of Fish and Wildlife, and sometimes state departments of the Department of Natural Resources publish on their websites lists of licensed wildlife rehabilitators. And it's important to find a licensed wildlife rehabilitator who's gone through training and is licensed. Unfortunately, sometimes what happens with people that don't have licenses is that they get caught and their animals are confiscated, and the Fish and Wildlife doesn't necessarily then move them to a licensed person. Sometimes the animals are just euthanized. So the other place that you can go to find a rehabber is Animal Help Now. So Animal Help Now has an app, and you can use that on the computer. You can get the app for your phone, and you simply put in your zip code, and it's going to give you a list of wildlife rehabilitators in your area. You can even put in your zip code and raccoon, and it'll search for people that have that licensure, because in some states things like raccoons and foxes and skunks are rabies vector species, so they require kind of above and beyond licensing to work with those animals. So if you have gotten some information, I appreciate if you'd hit the like button and help spread the word. We also have a blog post on Fox Run Environmental Education Center. I'll list that in the description, and that goes into more detail. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you for caring about wildlife.